Okay, so today we're going to talk about focus. And the name of the talk is My Car Goes Where My Eyes Go. I don't know. I mean, I think you can relate to that, even if you're not a race car driver. I'm going to talk about that in a sec. But you're driving your car and you look over here and something that catches your interest in your car is like this, right? Yeah. So, are there any horseback riders in the group? Back in the day. So, so listen, your horse goes where your eyes go, too. I rode dressage for a while. It's very hard. But one of the things they teach you is if you're turning, you can't be looking over there. You look where you want to go, and your horse goes there. If only that was all there was to it. Any motorcycle riders in the group? Yeah. Yeah, we don't have very many thrill seekers today, do we? Yeah, your motorcycle goes where your eyes go too. That's probably why I crashed my motorcycle. So this idea comes from this book, The Art of Racing in the Rain. This is a novel, but it's full of life lessons. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful, bittersweet, charming story told from the narrator is the family dog. But it's not, that doesn't necessarily mean it's funny, but it's very heartwarming. And also there's pain and tragedy in there. But this is just one little paragraph I want to read to you. So the main character, besides the dog, the father in the family, is a race car driver. And he's talking about what it takes to race in the rain or to race at all. And the dog reports that the dog's name is Enzo. So Enzo reports that this is what the race car driver talks about. In racing, they say that your car goes where your eyes go. The driver who cannot tear his eyes away from the wall as he spins out of control will meet that wall. The driver who looks down the tracks as he feels the tires break free will regain control of his vehicle. Your car goes where your eyes go. Simply another way of saying that which you manifest is before you. The best driver, sorry. This is something I found on the internet on a leadership website. And he has 28 quotes from The Art of Racing in the Rain about leadership. But this one, the couple of them on here seem to apply to us in this talk. The best drivers focus only on the present. Reflection must come at a later time. Yeah? I think that's a pretty good metaphor for us. This section of my talk, I'm going to talk about focusing, something we know, but it's probably the most difficult thing in the world to practice, is living in the now, living in the moment. So I just want to tell you a few stories about my experience with this, because it's honestly really hard to do. How many of us actually live in the moment, in the now? Or are we thinking about the next thing? Or are we thinking about the last thing? Or are we truly embracing the now? Right here, this now moment, we are here together, right? And how many of us actually live in that moment? It's hard. It's very hard. So I've had a few lessons about this. It's still very hard. I had a cancer scare back in 2018. Some of you remember. And I found out that I had a giant tumor on my ovary. And on the ultrasound results came back and said suspicious for cancer. And okay, so wow, that was a big unexpected sort of shocker, right? And I didn't know. Was it cancer? Wasn't it cancer? So from the time I got that news to the time I could have my surgery and then, of course, the biopsy, you know, what would it be like to live that period of time? Am I going to fret and worry and be scared about what comes next? Is it cancer? Oh my God, I might have cancer. What happens if I have cancer? Then I'll have to go through, you know, surgery and chemotherapy and who knows what else, and I'd lose my hair and, you know, all the things, right? We could be easily thinking about all the things. So that was probably one of the most important times for me to practice the lesson of living today. Because today, everything is fine. Today, I have love in my life. I have my family. I'm going about my business. I don't have cancer today. Right? Oh. Yes, and I also don't have cancer today. It was benign. The point, though, is I had to practice refocusing those thoughts. I didn't have to. I chose to. You know, we could, in metaphysics, we would do some affirmations. You know, I see my body whole and complete and how I'm healthy and how all those things that we teach. Yeah, that wasn't going to help me in those moments. Because you know what? That's kind of living in the future too, isn't it? I'm not saying don't do affirmations, and I'm not saying don't visualize. You know, and that's part of how we manifest our reality is visualization. And because, right, our lives, our life and our reality is an outpicturing of our thoughts. So one way to shift your thinking is affirmations and visualizations and all that other things that we teach. It honestly wasn't going to help me. What I needed to do was live in the moment. And it was so hard. But I really practiced that. Living today. Today, I'm not having my surgery. Today, I'm here. I'm at home. I have my little critters around me, giving me love. I got my wonderful husband. I have all my friends. I'm enjoying my life today, right? So of all of the lessons that we teach and all of the things that we learn, I think living in the now moment is probably one of the hardest. I had another experience of that. How many of you have heard of EST? Right? Yeah, long time ago, I did the EST 6-day. And, you know, EST was, doesn't exist in its original form anymore, but, you know, a self-actualization type of experience. And we got about 5 hours sleep a night. And then we did a lot of different things, that some of which were physically taxing, some of which were mentally challenging. And one of them was that in the night time, after midnight, we were all tired, want to go to bed. We had this exercise. Our job was one thing: focus on the facilitator. And when the facilitator, in this case it was a he, when he says stand up, you stand up. When he said sit down, you sit down. That's it. For hours. Literally. I think it was a couple of hours. Stand up, sit down. Now, how many of us in that experience would be looking at the clock? When the heck is this going to be over? I don't like it. It's not any fun. I don't want to do it. But we made an agreement, okay? Made an agreement. Stand up, sit down. I did that for 2 hours. And guess what? After the 45 minutes or so of looking at the clock, thinking about something else, wishing this was over, I was like ultra focused on the moment. Stand up, I stood up. Sit down, I sit down. And I was so focused that that was all there was. That was all there was. That moment to moment to moment. Stand up, sit down. And it was very liberating. It was so liberating. I didn't have to think about anything else. I didn't have to worry about anything else. I just stood up and sat down. And my focus was on him and what he was going to say next. Stand up, sit down. It was amazing how I felt after I let go of all that wishing it would be different. Yeah. So another lesson in living in the now is flying. Anybody in here a white knuckle flyer? No? Wow. We rock. Well, I was. And I had to fly for my job. And I've talked about that before. I had to fly for my job. So I got scared at landing and taking off. Yeah, pretty, typical. And turbulence. Okay, yeah, right. And so I was talking to my brother about this because I had a lot of flights to take, and that's a lot of white knuckle, experiences. Watching the stewardess to see if they're like nervous or anything. Yeah, so my focus was on the stewardess. If they're worried, if they're going to sit down, strap themselves in, I'm going to even more worried. So I spent my flight, watching the stewardess and hoping there wasn't going to be turbulence. You know what? Turbulence doesn't take down planes. It doesn't. It doesn't. So the fear is utterly irrational. Have you heard the saying, fear is false evidence appearing real? Right? The fear is irrational. It had nothing to do with the reality that I was in. So I was telling my brother about, who was my spiritual compadre, I've told you guys this before, about this experience and how I'm a white knuckle flyer and stuff. And he just said, without even missing a beat, that's because you're living in the future. Wait. Ooh. He's right. I'm sitting there in my not so comfortable airline seat. Yeah. Entertaining pictures of plane crashing. Right? Because as soon as there's turbulence, oh my God, what's going to happen? Plane's going to go down. Pictures. Right? And you know what? The primitive brain doesn't know the difference between fear of rejection, say, and a saber-toothed tiger. The primitive brain says, oh, there's danger, and starts, pumping in adrenaline, and of course you're just sitting there with adrenaline going all around in your body, and that's not too comfortable. So those pictures of the plane crashing, my brain thinks that's real. No, my brain, your brain, thinks that's real. So my brother said, that's because you're living in the future, right? And so I thought, oh, he's right. I'm not even in the moment. And so I practiced replacing those pictures with me in the plane, actually enjoying myself, right? Just sitting there. And if there's turbulence, it's, I love roller coasters and I love amusement park rides where I purposely get scared. Why? Because I'm pretty sure that I'm actually safe. Pretty sure that I'm actually safe. I don't know, some of the amusement park things that have happened lately, it's like, now maybe I'm not so sure. So in the plane, I started thinking about, it's kind of fun, the turbulence. It's kind of like an amusement park ride. And I had to practice it. It doesn't just come, you can't just decide 1 minute that, okay, I'm going to live in the now and I'm not going to entertain those pictures, and then it all goes away. It doesn't work like that. Practice. Practice replacing those pictures with ones of in the now, not having to worry about what the stewardess or flight attendant, no, it's not stewardess anymore, is it? Flight attendant is doing, and enjoying myself, reading my book, having a, soda or something. Yeah, so I'm not a white knuckle flyer anymore. I actually enjoy it, but it took practice. We have to practice where our focus goes. Just one more story, and this one kind of leads into the next area of focus I want to talk about. But I'm pretty brave. I enjoy, like I said, I enjoy sort of life-threatening body surfing, scuba diving, jumping out of an airplane. I like those things. They're exciting and exhilarating. But take me to a glass floor, not so much. The adrenaline starts going, I get paralyzed. I'm like, there's no floor. And there's stuff under there I can see, but my brain says there's no floor. And I get paralyzed. I stand on this thing looking at it going, and now where's my focus? Where's my focus? Anybody? The bottom of the chasm underneath that no floor. That's where I'm focusing. I'm focusing down there on the danger. I might die because there's no floor. So we were in a museum with my family, a really cool museum in Salt Lake City. It's a natural history museum. If you get a chance, go there. It's really awesome. It's fairly new. Guess what? You come down out of the dinosaur exhibit, which is pretty cool, and you get to a bridge with a glass floor. I couldn't walk over it. I'm standing there paralyzed. And my brothers, everybody else is on the other side. Yeah, no. They weren't encouraging me so much, as June was pointing out. My brother, being the wise man that he is, this is my little brother. He goes, "Look up." What? Look up. And I was just staring at the danger. And to me, this is a little bit of a metaphor for life, right? We stand there paralyzing, looking at all the crap. Look up. I shifted my focus. I looked up and I was able to walk over that. Yeah. Now, there's a big glass walkway over the Grand Canyon. And I look at pictures of that thing and I'm going, there's no freaking way I'm going over that. No way. But you know what? What if I look up? Maybe I can walk over that. Next time I'm in Arizona, I'm going to go. So I want to read. I brought a lot of books today, but just little bits of each of them. And this book is Love is Letting Go of Fear by Gerald Jamkolsky. And when I got this book and I opened it up to this page, and there's a picture here, you can't probably see it very well. There's now is in the middle. It's a man representing now. And the past is over here, and the future is over here. And the now is trying to keep them at bay. Right? So he says, if we are willing, it is possible to change our belief system. However, to do so, we must take a new look at every one of our cherished assumptions and values of the past. This means letting go of any investment in holding on to fear, anger, guilt, or pain. It means letting the past slip away. And with it, all the fears from the past that we keep extending into the present and the future. I am determined to see things differently. means that we are truly willing to get rid of the past and future in order to experience it now as it really is. Most of my life, I've acted as if I were a robot, responding to what other people said or did. Now I recognize that my responses are determined only by the decisions I make. I claim my freedom by exercising the power of my decision to see people and events with love instead of fear. So I referenced Ruiz, the Four Agreements, last time I talked. And he talked about domestication. And this is how we are trained from childhood, by our teachers, by our parents, by our culture, to look outside ourselves. Yeah? And this is another area of focus I want to talk about. And this is where we place our focus besides in the now. And so we're looking for warding off punishment, right? We're looking for pleasing people because that feels good. We like that. We want more of that. And our whole entire culture domesticates us so that we grow up into our adult life looking out there, right? Focusing on other people to see how they are perceiving us, whether we're being judged. Even if we don't even know what's going on in their minds, we're worried about being judged, and pleasing people so that we feel worthy, right? So this is another really hard thing. In addition to the difficulty of living in the now, pulling back our focus from out there to in here is really hard. We are having to overcome decades of training to look out there, right? And so it takes as much practice as choosing to live in the now. Pulling our focus back to ourselves and our movie. So I've talked about life. I refer to, my movie, right? My life is my movie. Your life is your movie. I don't need to worry about your movie. I don't have any influence over your movie. Your movie is your life. And unfortunately, what we do with that outer focus is bring all that stuff out there, look at it as if it's our movie, right? How many times have you heard, turn off social media, right? Turn off social media. Turn off the news. Why? Because it pulls our focus out there, which has nothing to do with your movie. Yes, there's some terrible things going on out there, but if we can't detach from that and bring our focus back to our life, our movie, what we're responsible for, what actions we choose to take, if we're sucked into out there, then our life is not so happy. Oh my God, it's terrible out there, right? There's all these rotten people out there who are saying nasty things and doing nasty things, and there's war and there's famine and there's, lots of bad stuff out there. Is it part of your movie? Is it in your life? Yeah, that's not to say we don't have our own personal challenges. We do. Yeah, I live with chronic pain. I had a knee replacement in April. I'm still recovering, right? It's not always easy, our movie. But unless we focus on our individual movie, our reality, where it's impossible to manifest for our own choices of thought, to outpicture in our own lives. Because we're just so busy looking out there and defending ourselves against it. Right? So the next hardest thing besides living in the now, or maybe equally as hard, is focusing on ourselves. And that means, okay, so let's, think about our movie. There's lots and lots and lots to be grateful for. And I'm going to tell you something. In my movie, people are not mean. In my movie, I'm full of people strangers, who want to help, who smile at me, who are loving, right? There's a lot of love out there. I'm going to challenge a New Thought Sacred Cow, and I have to wrap this up pretty soon. I could probably go on this topic for a long time. I'm going to challenge a sacred cow. And that sacred cow is you have to love yourself before you can love someone else. We hear that over and over and over. It's not true. It's just not true. Do we need to learn to love ourselves? Of course. Absolutely. But it's not true that you cannot extend love to someone else if you aren't so loving toward yourself. We'd be in a world of hurt if that were true, because a lot of us are still working on that. We're still working on learning to love ourselves. So this is my last reading. This is Turn on the Light, Eric Butterworth. So he says, we build love by loving, by centering our minds in love and pouring out love unequivocally, unconditionally, and generously. I build my fortune of love by loving. Love expands as we forgive others and ourselves. Love our world and perform acts of loving kindness. Love expands by giving ourselves a hug, applauding our positive attributes, affirming our wonderfulness, and knowing beyond knowing that we are made of God's stuff. All this works together for our good, for the best life we can imagine. You are God's living enterprise. All right. We're going to take this into meditation. So get comfortable in your chairs, relax your body. Get your feet on the floor if you can. Get centered. And I want you to look at your own movie. Focus on your life and the life you're living in the now. Focus on being here with each other in this chair, in this place, and let your imagination fill you with images of your life. Your friends, your family, your home, everything that's dear to you is right here. Spend a little time just drifting around in all the good that there is. Owning it, taking it in. Knowing that you are God's love. And you are loved. So just take a minute and let that sink in. Let it infuse your body with that experience of warmth and wholeness. and joy and peace. And when you're ready, and you feel like coming back to the now in this room, you can come back into your body, open your eyes, and join the rest of us in this wonderful experience that we're having with each other of communing with love and God. All right, I'm just going to finish with this from The Art of Racing in the Rain. No one knows what curves life will throw at you, but if the driver has the courage to create his own conditions, the rain is simply rain. When it rains, it doesn't rain on me. All right. Thank you, everyone.